Hello and welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. You're here with Fergal and Ali. Ali, how are you?
It's so weird that you're hosting an episode I'm in that simultaneously Harry's absent for. Harry's out for a flight. George probably has work.
Yeah, I think he's working, isn't he?
Yeah, that feels weird straight away.
Full disclosure, I've only watched Ireland, really. I kind of had the week off football, but I did watch both games for Ireland. So that's all I'm able to talk about. Ali, on the other hand, you've probably watched a good few games. So, but first of all, you contributed to our good friend James Alcott's vid, and we got a few new subscribers. So any new people, hello, you're very welcome.
Welcome.
I'm the brawn to Ali's brains. That you would have saw in that video. He spotted a good wee run or a nice wee run, Brighton v Liverpool. Anyway. And congratulations to James Alcott as well, who's announced that him and his wife are expecting as well. So that's great news.
It's really good news. I mean, without James, this podcast wouldn't exist because that's how we met, really.
That's all how we met. Yeah.
Yeah. There's Discord and his Twitch community is great. I did contribute to a video. That's incredible. I've been a big fan of his for years, and to be able to work on a video with him is great.
You collabed on a video.
Collabed on a video. I mean, my YouTube subscriber count went up all of a sudden. I haven't posted there on there for 6 months. So yeah, it's great. And congrats to Jim as well. It's it's just such good news. So yeah, brilliant. Here we go. Brilliant. Congrats, Jim.
Yeah.
And welcome everyone.
Now the intro's over. We'll get into some football after this then. Mexico 0, USA 0 at the Azteca. That was the first game of what was going to be the crucial World Cup qualifier games for CONCACAF. CONCACAF? Am I right there?
Yeah, CONCACAF, right?
Yeah, CONCACAF. I was thinking, no, that's Comedy Ball is the other one. But CONCACAF, Ali, talk us through it. How did USA do? Are they at the World Cup?
Well, we are at the World Cup. Yes, we've made it. We've made it by goal difference between us and Costa Rica, because what happened after the Mexico game, which was actually just extremely boring. The atmosphere not very loud after all. You expect Mexico that being played at the Azteca, and obviously a big rivalry. US had won in very controversial circumstances in the build up to the game, in the reverse fixture, and it was bound to be a good competitive game, and it was nothing like that at all. It was just as we needed. Really, it was really boring. I feared the worst for that game. But we got through it just fine. The next game after that, I think, was the most important one, possibly of the qualifiers after the win against Mexico earlier on in the qualifying stage. Panama, we beat them 5-1. Panama at that point had been fourth. And we were
Pulisic hat-trick, wasn't it?
Pulisic hat-trick, including 2 penalties, but the third goal was so good. So good. He kind of like it's Bergkamp-esque, like with the difference in quality, of course. Like I'm not fooling myself into thinking Pulisic's as good as Bergkamp, but it looks like it. He nutmegs, he takes a high ball, kind of twists, nutmegs himself, nutmegs the defender, skips around the other, and then kind of chips it over the keeper. All that was done in like a 6-yard space, and it was just a remarkably well taken goal.
Jamie,
one of us is
Chelsea, but anyways.
Yeah, exactly, because he plays off the.
He's Captain America when he plays for you. That's why
he does well for us.
It on.
At most times, yeah, he does it for us most times. So that was a really, really important game. That's actually the game that practically sealed qualification, because the one after that we lost last night as we speak. We are recording on Thursday. We lost 2-0 to Costa Rica, but we needed to lose by 6 so we don't qualify because of the goal difference. Costa Rica ended up with the same number of points as us. Actually, the same record: 7 wins, 4 draws, 3 defeats. We just made it through on goal difference, and now Costa Rica have to play either the Emirates or us. No, actually, sorry. Costa Rica will play New Zealand in an intercontinental playoff. And then we'll get to South America later. That's fascinating. So, yeah, we made it through. It's
who are the
good.
teams then? Canada, Mexico, USA, and then Costa Rica's in the playoff.
Costa Ricans in the playoff. Canada have managed to top the group on goal difference to Mexico. And then we have third place. And Costa Rica fourth on goal difference as well.
Who out of those three, who's we're recording this, the World Cup group draws tomorrow. I'll probably ask you again in maybe a week's time. But out of those three, who's making it furthest in the World Cup?
It's gonna have to be between Canada and the US. Canada just have an incredible 11 that's very harmonious and very high quality. There's the entire starting 11 are like kind of ones to watch that haven't been on the scene for a little while, but they've all got immense quality. In my opinion, I would particularly keep an eye on Stefan Eustáquio, their kind of defensive midfielder. He's in Porto now. He's Portuguese-Canadian, chose the Canadian national team, and mentioned how good a decision it was, rightly so. He's probably the most important player for Canada, despite Alphonso Davies. Alphonso Davies hasn't featured in the last 3 or 4 games for Canada, maybe even more. Yeah. The last 2 international breaks, really.
He's expected to be back for the World Cup, though, isn't he? Or
he is.
Even next season, yeah.
Yeah, he is. He should be there. I hope he is, because, I mean, Alphonso Davies...
he's incredible to watch. He tore Chelsea apart that time.
Yeah. And he just keeps getting physically fitter and fitter and fitter. And obviously better as a footballer. He can... And the thing for Canada is that he's so versatile. He can play literally anywhere down the left or as a right winger as well. And he's one of their main goal scorers. But Kyle Larin...
He's probably good enough to be like Alaba, and even if he needed to, he'd do a job in midfield or even as a striker. In terms of like what Canada, the quality of Canada, he's probably like literally like good enough to play anywhere.
I feel like
that good.
His best quality is pace and his ability to break lines via dribbling. So if you're using that from midfield is great, but I think his biggest strength is to kind of tear down a channel and take wing backs and fullbacks completely out of a game. And then there's Kyle Larin, who's the top goal scorer ever for Canada, who's a strike partner with Jonathan David.
And what age is he, the Kyle Larin?
Oh, Kyle Larin? Oh, I don't remember. I feel like he might be in late 20s. He's definitely been... He's older than Jonathan David. I don't remember his age. Let's put it up real quick. Jonathan, this is a live Googling.
Who does he play for?
Not Jonathan. Besiktas in Turkey. He used to play with Ricardo Kaká at Orlando City. He's 26. Oh, that's younger than I expected. There you go.
For a top goal scorer, that is quite young.
He's very young. Because Canada weren't even in the final qualifying stage in 2018, so they don't play often. So they don't have that many players, so that many good players over the years. So yeah, incredible achievement for Canada, qualifying for the first time since '86.
Very good. So yeah, then your other team. How did your other team end up doing?
Well, I am 1 for 2 for every World Cup qualifier in terms of my teams of my nationality qualifying. Even in 2018, when Egypt made it, the U.S. didn't make it, and now when they're both this close to qualifying again, Egypt lose on penalties to Senegal again for the second time in 2 months. I
flicked on for the penalty shootout, and what first struck me, and I'm sure everybody's seen it by now, is the lasers. Now you were saying that this is very common for both sides to be at this crack. And to be pointing lasers. I saw a video of a guy in a stand. He wasn't even hiding it. He was just stood up, bold as brass,
Yeah.
pointing the laser right down on the pitch.
Yeah.
It's just like bizarre that it sort of thing isn't trying to cut out by stewards or anything like that. The game is just tell you what, if it was happening Ireland versus someone else in a big game, I think I would turn a blind eye myself to it. But yeah, it's strange to see it, and it looked like it would put you off quite a lot. Like there's absolutely loads of them.
It would. I have a few things to say about the kind of, not just the laser thing, but the general performance of over the two legs. It should have never gone to penalties. But let's get the laser thing out of the way first. Yes, it's bad. It's harmful on the human eye. It should be allowed in stadiums. It's slightly annoying, but I'm not going to complain when Egyptians have been doing it or had been doing it. It's now banned from Egyptian stadiums. In especially the late 2000s and early 2010s, up to 2015 or so, the laser thing was at every African game, whether it's Champions League or qualifiers of any sort. They would buy their tens of thousands. I kid you not. Not only green lasers. At first it was green lasers, but then after that it was blue lasers started to appear before they eventually banned it, and pretty effectively so. Well, Egyptians aren't allowed in stadiums for 10 years, except for African games, some African games, and some World Cup qualifier games, which is remarkable, and is actually part of Egypt's failure at World Cup qualifiers, is that you don't have fan culture whatsoever now for a generation. We don't have match-going fans at all. So you go, any atmosphere is just bland because people don't know how to chant, how to cheer on.
Yeah, you haven't got the group of lads that know every single song and are then carrying the rest of the crowd.
Exactly.
There.
We don't have any songs. I've not been to an Egypt game, actually in my life, but certainly for the last 10 years when that ban was put in place. But every time I watch Egypt on TV, it's the chants are kind of just distorted, and the only commonality in what people sing is what people say really is when a goal is scored, you just have just people celebrating the goals, and then they go back to their absolutely random songs.
Yeah.
And it makes the atmosphere bland, and it's frustrating because it was part of why we failed. It's part of it. And why the World Cup qualifiers in 2018 was such a struggle in an exceptionally easy group. That we kind of managed to squeak by with a last-minute penalty in the end when that happened. But
how was the performance then generally over the two legs?
Read my mind, Fergal. Awful, actually. So we scored early on in the kind of fourth minute, I think, early on in the home leg. And then Senegal just had all of the rest of the game. So the goal was quite a lucky one, actually. Salah starting central again. I have something to say about that too. But he did manage to score from that position. He gets a beautifully shaped long ball into the area. Kind of takes it down, first touch, turns the defender, hits it. Saved by Mendy from 3 yards out. Hits the bar and then hits Salih Youssef and goes in. And then we just sit on it. Why? Sadio Mane tore us apart in the second half. They should have had a goal. Why? You're playing a two-legged tie. Score some goals, and away rules count. Score some goals. Don't invite pressure. As much as you did at least. Make an effort to make it harder on Senegal for the second leg, where there's going to be a good atmosphere. The stadium's going to be absolutely packed. And there's a little bit of a rivalry there in terms of the African Cup Nations final. Mane against Salah, all that narrative. Just try. And the substitutions are defensive. The shape is, again, similar to the final of the African Cup Nations. Just 7 8 players behind the ball, and Salah just completely isolated up on his own. The difference in the second leg is, between those 2 ties and all of the Africa Cup nations, is that while we defensively were annoyingly good in the Africa Cup nations, and you kind of couldn't knock it, really couldn't blame it because it was doing so well, and we just kept winning shootout after shootout in the build up to the final. We lost that in the second leg. Senegal missed 3 complete sitters after scoring early on in the 4th minute of that game. So 2 early goals, 1 for Egypt, 1 for Senegal each game. So we lost our defense, but we did nothing going forward. Salah was very nervous, actually. I don't have the stats in front of me in terms of the take-ons he completed, but I would guess he completed none. In fact, until I wrote at some point in the second half that we'd completed 0 out of 1 dribbles and had a 63% pass completion rate. And that's it. And it's actually, from a neutral's point of view, it's a good thing that Carlos Queiroz isn't seeing the World Cup and is nowhere near it now. It was very frustrating to watch. Very, very frustrating to watch.
Do you think will Carlos Queiroz, do you think he'll keep it, or do you think it's a big disaster?
It's not a big disaster because we've done worse in some qualifiers before. 2014, we lost 6-1 to Ghana and crashed out that way. We're kind of used to not qualifying for the World Cup. And it's an Egyptian mentality problem where even the golden generation that won the 3 African Cup nations in a row between 2006 and 2010 didn't qualify for the World Cup because we always treated it as, we still do, as like an end goal rather than just another step in the way. That golden generation should have made it to the quarterfinals.
Definitely.
So it's a mentality problem more than anything. He's got us to a final of the African Cup of Nations after all, and to that close to being at the World Cup, just a penalty shootout away. For the sake of keeping things consistent, at least, let's leave it until the next African Cup of Nations, which is a year from now. So there's no need for chopping and changing things again, reinventing the wheel again. I mean, we've been playing negative football for maybe 5 years now, like extremely negative football, the hard to watch negative football.
I know the feeling, Ali. I know the feeling. It honestly sounds like you have sort of similar to what we had in Ireland had. And we're going to come on to Ireland very quickly and very shortly.
Yeah.
But the need to just like have a manager that's gonna respect your national team's players enough to go, you know what, we can do something. And you know, it might be a Senegal that proves it to you, but like for us it was like a Georgia that proved this to us. We went away to Georgia in Tbilisi, and it was 0-0 because they didn't have the quality to just put it in the back of the net. But they passed it around us. We didn't get a kick, and then Luxembourg was the other one, and though it's when teams like that are just well-oiled machines, passing it around you. Even Gibraltar do all right. Whenever you see teams like that are playing well, that was a big sign for Ireland to be like, right, we need to change our approach to this. And sort of have faith in the players that we have to play more positively, and sort of not do what you're saying there. Have 7 men behind the ball and then have Salah isolated with one other person or whatever.
Yeah, like you're talking about. In the return leg, you know what? We didn't even start our striker. Like the idea in the Africa Cup of Nations is that Mustafa Mohamed, who's our starting striker. Or like supposedly, but he used to play in the Africa Cup of Nations on the right as a kind of a wide target forward. So we kind of lump it up in the general direction of him or Salah, and it's on them to chest it down. That Senegal game, despite the center back, one of the center backs being Kalidou Koulibaly, and our tallest striker is 5'11", Mustafa Mohamed. I don't know if he's even 5'11", but even Mustafa Mohamed sat on the bench. So he started with Trezeguet, Marmoush, and Salah. But like our we didn't give ourselves a chance with the second leg. We didn't give ourselves a chance. The only close one was like a hopeful header from a substitute winger, Zizo, who missed a penalty bizarrely by the... Oh, I have to mention this. I have to get this out of my system. With the laser things and the penalty shootout, like Zizo, everyone talks about the Salah penalty and how he skied it. First of all, like you're one of the best players in the world. Just put it on target and hope. Give the goalkeeper a chance to do. That's a bad miss under any circumstances. But never mind. Zizo, the substitute winger for Egypt, and he scored a concession of incredible penalties in the shootouts in the AFCON.
Yeah.
This time he did a Jorginho Fergal, and he just put it wide. He completely missed the target to the right. It was kind of with all the
lasers on you, and then go, you know what? This is the one I'm gonna copy Jorginho.
It's stupid. It's so stupid. It was
the
so frustrating.
The one that you have to be looking at the keeper for as well. You have to be able to see where the keeper is going with that.
No, none of that, mate.
It's not like the other ones. You could just have your eyes on the ball and focus on hitting it. Sweet.
It's so bad. It was so bad.
Right.
Anyway, how are Ireland?
Speaking of green lights, you know.
Yeah, green lights.
The green lights of Dublin were had a great time. We drew with Belgium. A Belgium, very second-rate Belgium team, but Belgium nonetheless. And then we beat Lithuania 1-0, very last minute. With a Troy Parrott goal, great, unbelievable, really good moment for him, and there's just such a positive atmosphere around the team. We really should have beat Belgium, and it was 2 poor lapses in concentration, 1 really bad corner for the second goal, and we were really just starting to mount the pressure, and they just had 1 set piece and scored from it, and then the first goal. Was just people not being switched on, just not tracking back, not really recognising the danger, and then Batshuayi taking his moment really, really well with a snapshot. Coleman and Doherty definitely could have done better. I thought Doherty didn't get into a full sprint at all, and by the time he reached him, it reached Coleman to help out. It was in the back of the net, so it was like 2 lapses in concentration. And then the quality of Belgium just shone through a little bit to get the draw, but it was really good, and like the goals we done, or goals we scored were brilliant. Ogbene, it was fantastic.
Oh, I like Ogbene a lot.
I can't understand how he's League One. The guy is top end Championship at the very least, and also he plays wing back for Rotherham as well, which is just bizarre because he looks so at home for Ireland up front, and he's getting goals and assists left, right, and centre. But he's been brilliant. And Doherty played well, and Josh Cullen, similar to what you were saying about Canada, Josh Cullen, Anderlecht midfielder, is the guy that's making us tick. He's ex West Ham, if anybody doesn't know it, and he's brilliant. He really is, and he's the first name in the team sheet.
I'm a sucker for playmakers.
Yeah, he just keeps it going, and then but the Lithuania game he didn't start, and there's something missing, and cause whenever we play against teams that are going to sit back against us, the sort of 3 at the back, it becomes a bit more laboured. It's a bit slower, and we didn't have maybe the lads on the pitch that could get the cutting edge until they were subbed on. I was trying to change a few players. Like we definitely should have scored. Matt Doherty had a great chance earlier on, and we got a bit lucky with it. We went into Fergie time like at the end there to get the winner, but it was still good to get the win, and I still don't think it was an awful performance. But we need to sort of work out how we're going to play against worse teams, because. Funnily enough, we probably play more worse teams in qualifiers than better teams. Maybe teams as good as us. We play a couple of them, and then a couple of bad teams, and there's always usually one team that's way better than you. I
Yeah.
feel like we're better playing we're better playing the teams that are gonna come on to us a little bit. We haven't figured out the ones that are gonna sit back off us, as well, and so we need to sort of work on that. But yeah, that's Ireland wrapped up.
Well, let's
And yeah,
go to.
we'll cover the rest of the other World Cup qualifiers after this then. So the big shock of the World Cup qualifiers, it's old news now, but we still need to talk about it, Ali. Italy are not going to the World Cup.
Oh,
And it wasn't Portugal that knocked them out. It was Macedonia.
North Macedonia.
North Macedonia, I should say, yes.
North Macedonia. I'll tell you what. I actually didn't get the chance to watch this game in full, but
I flicked it on last 10 minutes. I was like, oh my God, I need to watch this in case North Macedonia
case.
knocked them out.
Time just kept going on and on and on, and Italy just. I watched the first half. That's why I don't say in full. But in the first half, time kept going on, and Italy kept missing chance after chance after chance. It was one of those that made you wonder a bit. But I was like, surely Italy will be fine. They'll be fine. One chance will fall to them eventually. And then you kind of watch the highlights after the fact and wonder how the hell this happened. And you find like Berardi missing a sitter. Who else missed? There was a load of missed chances. I think Insigne had one. I think the former Borussia Dortmund striker. His name is going off my head now. Immobile. Yeah. Why did I say former Borussia Dortmund striker? By the way, that's
I know,
he's literally the worst,
least memorable time of the club.
That's why being a football fan, sometimes you remember people for the worst moments. He's literally the golden boot, the top goal scorer in Serie A last season. Whatever. Yeah, and they just kept missing sitters, and then the goal from North Macedonia is just kind of Italy tired and kind of panicking a bit and not really understanding what's going on. The ball just falls to somebody who hits it like. And then you find that same his name escapes me at the moment. I'm so sorry, but he's the same player that scored against Italy to deny them automatic qualification in 2018. Bit of a story there.
Tchaikovsky.
Tchaikovsky, yes, Tchaikovsky. There you go.
Yeah, it was well hit. I think caught Donnarumma off guard. It reminded me, to bring it back to Ireland again, it reminded me of the goal that Luxembourg scored against Ireland. It's one of these ones sort of drop to him, bit of space, just hits it, sort of one touch and hits it, gets it out of his feet, and catches everyone off guard, right in the bottom corner. And the Italy players were sort of looking around, going,
this didn't happen, did it? Like, there's a handball in there.
It didn't happen, but that won't count. Surely that doesn't count,
No.
because we're Italy and we're going to the World Cup, and it's North Macedonia, and
That kind of
that's it, and it's huge for Italy,
definitely.
and like it's and it ended up sadly North Macedonia didn't go through. It's Portugal and Poland, that are going through. Matty Cash in the clips I saw for Poland seems to be having a big influence. I can imagine Lewandowski's enjoying his crosses from some of the clips I saw, but didn't really see too much of any of the other games. But yeah, it was a big, massive upset. I thought Italy would have went through, but Portugal again sort of getting either an easy draw or scraping through. They have a knack for it. Like, they just keep going. In fairness to them, and like they've got great quality players. But you definitely wouldn't. You're definitely going to be tuning into them at the World Cup. Like,
fun fact: Bruno Fernandes' first and second goal against North Macedonia, his brace sent them through. These were his first two goals that were not either in friendlies or against Luxembourg.
That's. I think it was. Is there not also a penalty as well? He
No,
scored.
it was his
No,
first
no, okay.
his first goals for Portugal. They're not in friendlies or against Luxembourg, which I found
No,
remarkable.
I'm not going to slag him off for scoring against Luxembourg. Luxembourg are tricky operators to score against. I
Anyway,
enjoyed all three goals that we scored against them.
yeah. uh,
Um, but yeah, is the what do you know the rundown of all the countries then that from Africa that qualified, Ali?
Oh, from Africa. Oh, quick mention before that to Wales as well. Qualifying to the semi-final. Obviously, the other
Yeah.
semi-final is set to be played in June. Scotland against
Yeah,
Ukraine.
and Bale was just terrific, wasn't he?
Yes,
Unbelievable free kick.
I love that for him after that article. The Welsh parasite um, was released, and his celebration was a good response to that. His two goals were amazing. The free kick is just kind of comes from all the way up.
But what I would
Nobody in the
do to
world
have
is going to make an attempt to save that because it's surely going over the bar, and then you find it whoop, just hit the other
yeah.
side of the bar and in. It's fantastic.
What I would do to have an Irish player as good as that, that not only is as good as that, but always turns up for his country.
They despite playing 77
And
minutes of
Wales
club
kind of
football
have
since
two of
November.
them in Aaron Ramsey as well.
Yeah,
Both of them are just like always turn up to the absolute max for their country.
yeah.
And playing and you can understand why it's annoying for the clubs they play for because they're just like so much better for Wales.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it'd be good to see. That's the one. Is that's the game against Ukraine? Is it or that's delaying them from
Yep.
playing the final of that one?
So it's Scotland against Ukraine, and then we will
Yeah.
have Wales will play the winner of them in the final stage in June.
Is it bad that although Ukraine have went through a hard time, I really want to see a Wales Scotland final
Me too,
to
Fergal. Me too.
see who
Me
goes
too.
through
Trust
in
me.
that one. But
I wish that's the case too. Africa then. The rest of Africa, we kind of talked obviously about Senegal. The Jollof Derby ended Ghana qualifying on away goals.
Derby, I like that.
Yeah,
That's good.
the reaction from the Nigerian crowd was an absolute disgrace. Like there was a pitch invasion, like they threw stuff like through the tunnel, chased after players. It was bizarre, like because he didn't qualify for the World Cup for the first time in however many. Ghana are, to be fair, in their worst state in years, going through kind of a change in generation. They're not great. They're not great at all. Who's the manager of Ghana, Fergal? Who's the manager of Ghana? Quiz question.
Should I know? Is
You
it
should
someone I
know.
would?
Yeah,
It's not Essien, is it?
it's Chris Hughton.
Oh wow! Oh yeah, I really should know.
You really should know. Appointed after the African Cup
now you
of
say
Nations.
that, I do remember hearing that. Yeah,
So
go on,
I
Chrissy
quite
Hughton.
enjoyed that fact that Chris Hughton took Ghana to the World Cup. It's something that would seem random even on Football Manager. Like,
Maybe we should have got him in for Ireland.
maybe you should have, but he plays in remarkably negative football, doesn't he? So I don't know if you enjoyed that part. So Morocco eased their way through, 5-2 on aggregate against the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's probably the
Congo.
easiest tie. That's probably the easiest tie out of all of them. Like I feel jealous that Morocco did end up playing them. To be honest, Tunisia just held on to a 1-0 win against Mali in the first leg, 0-0, got the job done, and the most remarkable of all of the World Cup qualifiers, even so more so than Italy, in my opinion, is how Cameroon-Algeria went. So the first leg ended with a 1-0 away win for Algeria. Then the second leg was 1-0 Cameroon until the 118th minute. So it's 1-0 Cameroon away, so they go to extra time. 118th minute. Algeria score from a corner. And then in the 123rd minute, Carl Toko Ekambi scores for Cameroon.
Incredible.
Cameroon are through. That was like Algeria really, really thought they're through. Celebrations that they started celebrating the fact that they're going to the World Cup. At a time the injury time for the second half of extra time ran long, and Cameroon scored from, I think, a throw-in routine, and it kind of ended up getting sent into the box. Kambi found it falling to his feet inside 6 yards, no marking, and he just slotted it home. And then the Algerian manager, his reaction is extraordinary. He just kind of falls to his feet. It's gonna be one of the famous pictures taken at a World Cup qualifier. He kind of falls to his knees, absolutely sobbing, and just stays on his knees for probably 15 minutes after the game is finished.
I would have thought so. That's a heartbreaker.
So
Cameroon made it then.
Cameroon have done it. So it's Senegal, Cameroon, Ghana, Morocco, Tunisia at the World Cup for Africa.
Right. And do you know the other ones, or you can Google the other ones?
Sorry, you could Google it. South America deserves a mention because we ended up with Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, which, 3 of the regulars, Ecuador. And Ecuador have a pretty interesting story. Apparently, they've started, like, their youth teams have been doing so well, and they gradually started playing players from those youth sides into their first team, and some of their best players are under 22 years of age now and have helped them to the way to the World Cup, and they've beaten the likes of Chile and Colombia to the World Cup qualifiers. Like they qualified automatically, took the 4th spot, and they even finished 3rd above Uruguay, and then in 5th, who will play an intercontinental qualifier against either Australia or the UAE, are Peru. So Colombia, Luis Diaz land, and Chile, Alexis Sanchez land, will miss out. Tough scenes for Luis
big for
Diaz.
Chile. Probably the end of their great.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Teams like
yeah,
and great for Peru to get in there again. They seem to still be having a good team.
Peru still have to get past one more hurdle, the intercontinentals, but it's a tough ask to get past like Colombia and Chile, and to also get past the initial qualification phase 2 times in a row. They obviously were at the last World Cup, so that's a good achievement for them. But Ecuador, shout out to Ecuador. It's a good process.
And I gave it a Google then. Shout out to Asia. South Korea, Iran, Japan, Saudi Arabia, and then either Australia or United Arab Emirates will go through to the Interconfederation playoff. So that's against Peru. So Australia not being at a World Cup, that's massive, Ali.
It is.
And that means they have to get past the UAE and beat Peru as well.
Yeah, it's a tough ask as well. Peru are not pushovers.
Definitely not. So that's your international roundup. I can't wait for the next one, I don't know about you. We've got we're meant to have Ukraine next in our Nations League game, which is the next competitive game. That's probably not going to go ahead. I'm hoping another competitive game will get rearranged, so we'll either get Scotland or Armenia first in our Nations League group. That would be ideal, but but we'll probably get a friendly instead or something. But that's for Ireland anyway. I couldn't give a damn about anybody else. But yeah, that's the show for this week. We're trying to make it a relatively short because we're both probably in a bit of a rush here.
Yeah, but, I've classed in 50 minutes, so gotta go.
There you go. So yeah, fantasy picks we'll probably tweet them out over the weekend, and we'll go through them on next Wednesday. We'll be back to our usual time then.
Follow the Twitter, JAF_pod. JAF_pod. Follow. Thank you. Please.
Bye.
Bye.